All right, so Colin,
Yes.
I know you've been chomping at
have,
the bit.
thank you.
So why don't we do
Forgot why
the
I was
town
here.
manager-
I do, Mr. Chair, before I dive into the town manager's report, I do just want to note that Mr. Orpin mentioned an Innovation Academy intern at Town Hall. He's in our office, Adario. He's dove straight into public safety. He's looked at public works. This week he's looking at health and human services. And every time he does informational interviews with our department heads, they're blown away because he's not just curious about what they do. All of his interviews are designed to figure out what problems they face, and his end goal is once he has some form of power that he's going to be able to fix all of these. So I just want to give them a shout out. And Shannon Morocco from Innovation reaches out 3 or 4 times a year to our office looking for ways that their students can get involved in the community. So they certainly are a great community partner.
Fantastic. Thanks for adding that in.
With that, the Northern Middlesex Council of Governments hosted a very well-attended kickoff summit for their At Home and Greater Lowell initiative a couple weeks ago, which aims to leverage local, state, and federal partners to develop a regional housing strategy to address challenges in our region. I was happy to attend and grateful to Senator Kennedy for attending as well. Yellow House Cannabis has signed on with the general contractor for the construction of their new retail marijuana establishment on Middlesex Road. They also applied for their building permit on March 19th, and our building department is working expeditiously with them to get the ball rolling on that project. Last week, the Council on Aging hosted an appreciation luncheon on Wednesday for our highway department. As the board's aware, our highway department does much more than just maintain the roads and deal with tricky snowstorms like this surprise one we had this weekend. They also serve as a multi-service tool, really, for all of our department heads, particularly at the Council on Aging. So it was a great program to give back to them. The Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities reviewed our draft zoning, which was designed to comply with the MBTA Communities Act. They provided some feedback. A lot of it was very minimal, just largely procedural in terms of how they wanted us to present the information. And I know that Eric Salerno is hard at work making responses to that and editing our presentation so that it aligns. In the spirit of cooperation, our Veterans Agent Chris Derry is helping Dracut again while they search for a permanent Veteran Service Officer. We've entered into an MOA with Dracut to provide services to the town of Dracut while they recruit to fill the position. We have a great relationship with Dracut. Chris has performed as their VSO twice now in the last couple of years. So we entered a simple 3-month MOA. We'll revisit it if necessary, but we know that Dracut is happy to step up and help us if necessary, so we're happy to do the same. The police department and fire department building assessments that were funded by ARPA and approved by this board in February kicked off last week. Our consultants were on site at both buildings, 3.5 hours at each building doing physical assessments. They'll return for one more full physical assessment, and this week, Wednesday morning, we'll meet for a couple hours with the consultant to talk about challenges in the building, review our utility history, and then also talk about their space needs. Not a full space needs assessment like we did in 2018 looking at a new building, but really trying to understand what the space that they have today, how are they utilizing it, how would they like to utilize it, and all of that will be coordinated into a final recommendation. Our IT director has launched a very comprehensive cybersecurity training program that involves baseline training, scenario testing, live phishing email campaigns, as some of us are aware. And those are designed to test our staff's ability to detect phishing and more. We've also installed, if you've logged into your Gmail recently, there's a new add-on to Google where you can directly from the email report something as phishing. The trainings are required for all of the users, including members of this board. So you'll get reminders from a group called Know It All or Know Before. Know Before. We're going to open the Yardway site a little bit early. We'll open it on Monday, April 1st. There were a couple small trees down over the winter across the road, and the highway department was hoping to dry out the back side of it so they could resurface it just to make sure that it's ready. But that will open on Monday, April 1st. There's plenty of information on our website in terms of what you can and can't drop off there. And just a reminder that it's for residential yard waste only, no contractors. We are excited to announce that the registration for the community groups to utilize the Council on Aging as meeting space will open on Monday, April 1st. Jackie and I were doing some final testing of the online software this morning. We finally installed all of the equipment that's necessary so that the COA can operate without staff being present, which was the whole point of a no-cost rental. And you'll be able to apply online at tyngsboroughma.gov, and obviously our office will be happy to help with paper applications if necessary. A reminder that the Planning Board will commence public hearings on 6 proposed zoning changes on April 4th. The changes are available on the town's website, tyngsboroughma.gov, under the Planning Board. There's also an additional citizens petition, which was received by the town clerk last week. Even though it's not proposed by the town, it's still required to have a public hearing, so that will be incorporated into our public hearing process. In an effort to help familiarize residents with the budget process and the proposed fiscal 2025 budget, we'll be hosting budget office hours this spring. These informal meetings will take place at Town Hall and are open to anyone. They'll include a high-level presentation on the budget process and the proposed budget, and then a Q&A. We think that these smaller, more intimate meetings will provide a new, more comfortable opportunity for residents that maybe haven't been as familiar with the budget process or want to learn more to ask their questions before town meeting, which can be relatively intimidating, even for us who do this professionally. We will host 3 of them, April 10th and April 17th. They're both Wednesdays. It'll be at 6 p.m. And on April 23rd, a Tuesday, we'll do that at 5 p.m. All of them will be here. And of course, if a resident has questions about the budget but can't attend those, they can reach out to our office for a one-on-one meeting. And then finally, just a reminder that our annual townwide cleanup will begin on Monday and last throughout the month of April, although the kits are already available. So if we have some nice weather this week and you're interested, you can pick up a kit here at the town hall, in the library, or at the highway garage. Pick an area of town, pick up the trash, leave the yellow bags on the side of the road, and the highway department will pick them up as they go around town.
Great, thanks, Kat. Well, go ahead, and then we'll do the questions.
Just one update. Bids were due for the 2024 Road Improvement Program Phase 1 on Wednesday, March 13th. There were 2 bids received, and the project was awarded to the lowest bidder, All States Construction Inc., who is expected to start work mid-April.
Excellent. All right, I'll open up questions, comments on the town manager and assistant town manager reports.
I just have a question or maybe a comment. I sometimes spend my Saturdays going down to the firehouse, talking to either Pat Sands or if Wes is around. I enjoy a conversation with them and just look around the building and just kind of get my update and go, ew, the conditions aren't as robust as, you'd expect a fire department to have. So I'm eager to see that next phase of the report from that. It's, these are our fire guys and gals that take care of us when we need it most, right?
Absolutely.
House is on fire, or God forbid you need an ambulance service. Right? Touch wood that the ambulance has been, very reliable. But, some of the sleeping conditions and what they're having to deal with, if there's the administrative office is kind of just right there next to the TV. It's like, it's a little distracting, and, modular kind of growth in the building that we talked about. But it was a really good discussion, and I support Wes and Pat and the team over there a lot.
And it's worth saying, Mr. Chair, that, and I've said this before in meetings, but it's worth underscoring, those sleeping areas that Select Board Member Moran mentioned, we used federal CARES funding for that, but the labor was done by firefighters.
Exactly.
The ambulance bay was constructed with funds raised by the Tyngsborough Firefighters Association and done with labor from the Firefighters Association. So they certainly do a lot with a little, and
They do good work.
Yeah.
It's just
not adequate for their
right.
needs.
It's just
Absolutely.
not adequate for their needs, is what
Yeah.
I'm really trying to say. So thank you
Absolutely.
for those.
Yeah, and those are a couple of examples that whole building, they've really done a lot, and they make do, but we do need to support them. And, that's the whole purpose of this, is to figure out not just what we can do, relative to the existing space, but how can we leverage the land around it and everything to optimize that, just because, there are things that, when you're inside a building, you can say, hey, I can put up some shelves, I can do those things. But having an understanding of what you can do with that space to deal with the equipment that they've got outside, a lot of that's where, bringing in experts that
Sure.
can help us do those types of things is really important. And I think, we talked about it when we funded that whole project. I didn't like the amount of money that it was, but it's going to be money well spent. Unfortunately,
yeah.
that's what it is. I always sit there and say, it costs more than I would like it to, but that's what we need. We have to do that because, and we have those needs, not just the firehouse, but we have it at the police station
Sure,
as well.
definitely.
Anything else? No, a lot of stuff happening, so residents will be able to see this online tomorrow. I'm sure I'll see it on on X/Twitter and
Sure will.
Facebook and
Sure will.
and all those. So I encourage residents to, and they can subscribe as well
Yes.
to those updates. You can go on the website and see. I know there was a lot of folks said, "Oh, I didn't know I could do that." Well,
Right.
yes, you can.
And Ronnie would be mad if I didn't remind you, you can listen to it wherever you get your podcast as well.
Yes,
So if
podcasts
you're
as
commuting,
well.
it'll be there.
Fantastic.